Here are some additional examples for you for the product rule and quotient rule. We'll start with the product rule. So here's a product of 6 times the root of x times cosine of x. We're going to think of the 6 as our constant multiple. And now apply the product rule for x to the 1/2 and cosine x. So we have the first times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first, which is 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. Now we're going to simplify. So the first thing we're going to do on simplification is we're going to clean these terms up. X to the 1/2 times a negative sine x is negative x to the 1/2 sine x. This term, I always like to put the algebraic portion in front of the trig portion. Now, I'm going to factor out the common factor of x to the negative 1/2 but also because there's a fraction, this 1/2, which means I'm going to have to multiply the terms by 1/2. I'm going to have to multiply the terms by 2. Divide by 1/2, multiply by 2. So, in this term, it doesn't have the 1/2, so you're going to have to multiply it by 2. We factor out next to the negative 1/2, which means we have to add 1/2 to this exponent, so it's x to the first now. For this one, we factored out the entire 1/2 x to the negative 1/2, so we're just left with the cosine. And before I go any further, I want to point out a big mistake here. This was the derivative. As soon as I use the product rule as the derivative. Now I'm going to, 6 times 1/2 is 3. This x to the negative 1/2 can go on the bottom. And there you go. You can make this negative 3 x sine x minus cosine if you want, but you don't need to. So the next one. This is the product of sine x and cosine x. Pi is our constant multiple. So product rule says do the first times the derivative of the second. The derivative of cosine is negative sine. Plus the second times the derivative of the first. The derivative of sine is cosine. We have negative sine squared x, sine times sine, plus cosine squared x. That's it. Now, sine squared plus cosine squared is 1, but this isn't sine squared plus cosine squared. This is negative sine squared plus cosine squared. There is an identity that goes along with that, but it's not a common one, so we're going to leave it like that. That's it. So a lot of times, though, they like to put, for some reason, the sign takes precedence, so they like to call that the positive version. So I can factor out a negative. You don't need to do that. that's it for the power product rules I wanted to show you. Next are these quotient rules. That's going to come in a separate video.